Johnson heads to the bucket. Layup. Johnson, good!
All right, welcome everybody. It's another edition of Talkin' Sports with me, Chris Powers, right here. Lots to talk about. This show is seen 5 times a week. On Tuesdays at 11 a.m., Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m., Fridays at 9 p.m., and Saturdays as well at 8:30. Seen about almost 2 million households around the South Louisiana area. 89% of the New Orleans metro area still has Cox cable. Also, of course, seen in the Baton Rouge area, right around between 340 and 370,000, and then of course 140,000 in the Lafayette area. We're also seen as well in Morgan City. Got great sponsors like TJ Ribs and attorney Tony Clayton, and a brand new sponsor as well, which is Livingston Parish Tourism. What a game. We're going to talk about LSU. We're going to talk about Southern, and we're going to talk about the Saints, and then I'll give you our hot 5 picks and the also what I did for last week. But I'll tell you this, both Baton Rouge colleges go to overtime. Both Baton Rouge colleges as well got their first lead at the end of the game when they won in overtime. Both Southern and LSU. We're going to talk about that big time. And go back to Tiger Stadium. What a game. It was a 100th year anniversary of Tiger Stadium. It was absolutely unbelievable. It was electric. It was atmospheric. Let's take a look at the light show that happened at LSU. They had the wristbands that had the lights on them. It was unbelievable. Check this out. Look how beautiful that is. It was calling Baton Rouge. Look at that. Tiger Stadium is so beautiful, man. You just can't get better than that. Look how beautiful. Fireworks. That's incredible. Unbelievable atmosphere. It was incredible. Hardly anybody left the stadium. It was just absolutely beautiful. And 102,000 plus fans were in there. 102,230, I believe it was. And just incredible to see that. Everybody in perfect unison singing, calling Baton Rouge, Garth Brooks. You can't beat it. So many people have said that have never been to Tiger Stadium and they come for the first time and said, this is by far the best atmosphere. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. And it's just unbelievable. The student section was great. Obviously very loud when you get down into the student section. And just, it affects your ball game. You snap count everything. You can try and practice it all you want to. You try to get it, and you just can't get it. And I agree with Mike Landry. Governor Mike Landry wants to put another Tiger. If this Tiger is too old to go in the stadiums to get into the cart, every game I used to go to as a kid, Mike the Tiger was in the cage and go around pulling the trucks with the cheerleaders on top. We haven't seen that in Tiger Stadium in a long time. When is that going to return? I agree with what he's saying on that. I want to see Mike the Tiger back. I do. And so hopefully that'll happen soon. All right, let's take a look a little bit about that game. First half, Ole Miss had a 17-13 lead at halftime. It was 0-0 in the first quarter. Ole Miss had 279 yards in total offense in the first half to LSU's 210. So a tight game right there, right off the get-go. Second half, Ole Miss had 168 yards in total offense. LSU had 191. It was just a tale of two halves. In a way, Nussmeier and the crew didn't look good. Nussmeier only had, 43% of his passes complete? But it's the passes, we'll look at that a little bit later on, that I'm telling you, this kid has grown up. Kelly said that after the game as well, and I agree with what he said. Let's take a look at what Brian Kelly had to say at the press conference this week about the Ole Miss game.
I want to make sure you guys are all revved up, ready to go. All right. Certainly great night celebrating 100 years at Tiger Stadium. I thought the atmosphere was tremendous. Proud of our team, how they, just kept fighting. They believed they were going to win the football game. I think you probably heard that from, many of the comments from the players that were interviewed after the game. They had a belief that they were prepared and they were going to find a way to win the game. And so, in many ways, the mental is to the physical is 2 is to 1. And when you believe you're going to come out and win these games, you just keep fighting. And closing out games is part of what you need to do. And they closed it out, and game-tying drive, converted 2 fourth downs, overcome, some 3rd and 10s. again, the defense held Ole Miss to no touchdowns in the second half and in overtime. And if you told me going into the game they won't score a touchdown in the second half, and if it went to overtime they wouldn't score a touchdown, I'd say we got a pretty good chance of winning the football game. So, exciting night. And because of that, we had some offensive players of the week. I want to mention Braden Swinson again for the third time has been honored in this league by being the defensive lineman of the week. Whit Weeks was the defensive player of the week, 18 tackles, a sack, a TFL, and a forced fumble. And then Garrett Nussmeier, 337 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and he leads the SEC in passing with 18 touchdowns. So, again, just a great night, big victory, and only our second with many more games in the SEC to come.
So, Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian Kelly is 16-1 at Tiger Stadium. Only loss coming against Tennessee. He's 13-0 in night games at Tiger Stadium. And some fans at the beginning of the season wanted him fired? Are you kidding me? Am I wrong on this, Jonathan, where I think we got the best coach that we could have ever gotten?
Well, no, Chris, I was supposed to say something about the atmosphere in Tiger Stadium this past Saturday. Of course, celebrating 100 years of Tiger Stadium. I don't know if there's been a better atmosphere. Maybe you can go back to the Earthquake game with a Billy Cannon run to get a crowd pop that was better than Saturday night's atmosphere. But you bring in the lights and the music and the pageantry, the recruits, the celebrities that were on the sideline. Like you said, no one left their seat all the way through overtime. It was an intense crowd. And on Coach BK, 13-0 Saturday night in Death Valley. Pretty good record at home, I'll just say that. And yes, it is a home field advantage because nowhere else in college football, nowhere else in sports is like Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. But, yeah, you mentioned it. I think we do have a fantastic coach here in Baton Rouge. I don't know if a lot of people knew that he was even available when he signed a dotted line with LSU, but Brian Kelly earning his money for sure, and it's still a lot of season left, and this is year 3, so expectations were very high. But so far, so good. Outside that USC stumble right out the gate, LSU has taken care of business. On top of their defense, Coach Blake Baker, off this bye week, dialed up some exotic looks for that defense. They looked really good, Chris.
Yeah, Weeks. Are you kidding me? We're going to look at that in a minute. 18 tackles. You got 18 tackles in a ball game. But you want to know every game plan is different, and you talk about that. So, yeah, okay, so we only got 84 net yards in rushing. Rushed 24 times, but Garrett Nussmeier threw more than half of that in passes at 51. And that's because that's what the game plan called for. They felt that they could, with a big D line that Ole Miss had, they felt they would be better in passing the football, and the receivers and the tight ends to get around, and they had room to get open, and it obviously worked. In the first half, it didn't work, but for the ball game, Nussmeier had 337 yards of total passes, 3 touchdowns. He was named, as Coach mentioned, as the player of the week in the SEC, Offensive Player of the Week. But Durham led the team in rushes, 12 carries for only 37 yards. Josh Williams, 9 carries, 34 yards. We knew that was going to happen. But how about Kyron Lacey stepping up with 111 yards in total with 16 targets, 5 catches, and he had 111 yards and that 1 touchdown in overtime. Mason Taylor, another great game, 9 targets, 5 catches, 43 yards. So again, when you look at it, Garrett Nussmeier was 22 out of 51 for 2 yards. But I want to look at this right here, because it's pretty impressive. I want to show you the last 2 drives that Nussmeier had to make him the SEC Player of the Week. Let's take a look at the last 2 drives he had. Some of the passes he had was pretty incredible. This was right here. This is a big 4th down and 7. This is where he hits Mason Taylor right here. Look at this. No, actually, yeah, no, that's the – who is it? That is, yeah. So there you see it's a big completion on 4th down and 7. But let's keep going, because I want to show you the Joe Burrow moment that he had. The Joe Burrow moment that he had. Remember against Georgia, Joe Burrow got away from the blitz, and this wasn't it. This was the pass to Anderson. Now, Jonathan, I don't know about you, but I want someone to, again, yes, by law, by rule, that's an incomplete pass. Watch it slowly right here. He catches the football, and he goes down, the ball doesn't move. But when he turns over, the ball starts moving and he goes out of bounds and it's still moving. That's an incompleted pass. But my question is this, and I'm going to ask you this in a moment, Jonathan. My question is this, that if you are down in college football, when even nobody contacts you, unlike the NFL, you can't get up and start running, that should be a completed pass. They need to go over that rule again and look at that. Now, and also another thing, the ground did not help him catch the football. But again, he didn't gain control again until out of bounds. But he had control when he hit the ground, and the ball never hit the ground. To me, that should be a pass that should have been complete. I'm going to get your thought on that in a moment, Jonathan. All right, this, I believe, is a Joe Burrow moment right here. Here he is back to pass. It is. This is the Joe Burrow to Georgia moment. Look how he gets away, and look, he throws across his body. And look at that strike. Now, Taylor's elbow was down. That would have been a touchdown. I'm glad he didn't score on this. That's a minute 39 seconds left. That's a minute 39 for Ole Miss's high-powered offense to come back and get a winning field goal there. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But look at Nussmeier's arm. I mean, are you kidding me? That is unbelievable. It's just amazing. A tight spiral across his body, throwing on the run. Remember when Joe Burrow threw on the run against Georgia, it was a wounded duck. And also the same thing against Texas. It was a wounded duck. Nussmeier throws a beautiful ball. This is a 2nd down and 10. Here's another big completion for a first down to Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor's becoming unbelievable, man. He is becoming incredible. He's a first down catching machine. He didn't have a big game until the fourth quarter, by the way. Here he is by himself. It's 2nd down and 10. And this is a throw that's another that was an incompleted pass, and he's looking to see, okay, missed that guy there. This one is 3rd down and 10, and again, this kind of shocked me, a handoff right here, but they had all their safeties and their DBs were back, so they felt they can get them off guard by getting that first down. Now, this is a 4th down and 6. Now, he didn't go for the first down. He's going for the touchdown, Anderson, right here, and I'm so glad Anderson's doing well. He's from New Orleans, signed with LSU originally, then flipped it to Alabama, then played, Alabama 1 year, and then moved it back to LSU. He transferred back to LSU. Aaron Anderson, 23-yard touchdown, ties the ball game up right here to make it 23-all. And just look at this. Now, this is what they stopped right here. You see, Anderson's not even making a move. He's not where he needs to be. But Nussmeier trusts Anderson, and he throws the ball to that spot that he wants Anderson to be at. That's a completion in overtime. This is a long 57-yard field goal attempt, and this is the longest of his career. Bam, it's good. It's 26-23. Lane Kiffin does not like field goals. You know he didn't like this, and I'm glad because they've got in trouble with the penalties that brought him back behind the chains. But this was a long field goal, and that was very big right there for Ole Miss to hit that field goal. But now LSU, all they need is a touchdown to win the game, a field goal to tie the game, and to send it into the second overtime. But let's see on the first play of overtime. Here it is. Nussmeier back to pass. Here's the throw for the touchdown. It's a back shoulder throw to Lacey. Touchdown. Game is over. LSU wins it 29-26. And what makes it awesome about that is, so 2 overtime games, the last 2 overtime games at Tiger Stadium was against Alabama and was against Ole Miss. And both of those, the first play in overtime, LSU scores. The only difference is between Alabama is they went for the 2-point conversion. Jonathan, so for me, let's go back to that catch. To me, they need to change that, because if you're down, if you touch the ground, if your knee, elbow, butt, anything touches the ground, you are down. Or if your back, shoulder or whatever touches the ground, you're down. And that, to me, should mean a completion.
Yeah, and Chris, with all the technology and all the advances in the game, and you have 4K, 8K, on demand, fast forward, rewind, DVR the game, watch that at your leisure. Still, we can't seem to figure out what a catch is. And in college and pros, it is different. You only need 1 foot in college, but in 2 feet in pros. But in both leagues, a butt is equal to 2 feet.
Right.
You get your butt down, you're down. In college, you don't have to be touched. Like you said, you're down. The ball did move a little bit as he rolled, but I've seen games, LSU games this season, where guys are bobbling the ball between their legs coming out. It's all about maintaining control through the ground, which it's totally discretionary on the official. What controlling the ball through the ground actually means, like you said, the ball never touched the ground. And we talked about this in Tiger Shore. There was a lot of reviews in this game, Chris, and they had a week's targeting call that was reversed. Of course, Xavier Thomas had a touchdown taken off the board, so it kind of went both ways for LSU. I was okay with how the game was officiated, but we have got to figure out once and for all what a catch is. And if you have to go down just to the eye test, did it look like a catch? Did it check all the boxes? Did he maintain control? Did he get one foot? Did he get a butt? Did he get an elbow? If it checks all those boxes, it doesn't matter if the ball moved a little bit. It should be a catch.
That's it. I mean, like I said, if they're going to make it to where you're down, and I believe you could put your hand on the ground, you can't put your elbow or anything like that on the ground. All right, so unbelievable. Nussmeier named the SEC Player of the Week. Congratulations for that. And the way I see it, Jonathan, that if he keeps keeping better and better and better, he still had 2 interceptions in that game, and he's still making some decisions sometimes. But if this kid gets any better as time goes on, this guy could be a first-round NFL draft choice, and he could be going to the National Football League. He throws a beautiful ball. He's smart. He wants to learn more. He gets in and wants to do game film a lot. This could be a situation where he could go to the National Football League. But his family may be like the Manning family a little bit, like I said, which is cool because they say, look, he's got time. Let him go one more year in college, and where now next year he'll be a Heisman Trophy candidate. He's going to be even better than he is now because this is only let's see. This is 6 games. That's 7 starts. That's it, 7 starts.
Yep.
So, what are your thoughts? Do you think NFL maybe if he continues to get better and better as time goes on?
No, NFL absolutely. If he continues to progress in this way, the upward trend he's on right now, this guy only has 8 starts. You wouldn't be able to tell by watching him play. He throws the ball all over the field, and in this game in particular, there was a 3rd and 13 where he picked it up with his legs.
Yeah,
he saw an open, he took off. He didn't even slide. He lowered his shoulder and got that first down. They immediately cut to Coach Brian Kelly because I'm sure they'd be like, oh, my gosh, we can't get Nussmeier hurt. But this guy's tough. He's smart. He's a true leader on and off the field. He holds his teammates accountable, and he wants to win. All of that enwrapped in a kid who's been waiting his turn. He's very mature for his age. He's got the pedigree. His dad played in the pros. His dad coaches in the pros. He's been around the game his entire life. To answer your question, no doubt do I think he gets a shot on Sundays.
Yeah, and not only that, his dad coaches in the NFL, coaches quarterbacks. So he's getting the best in coaching right there. But Nussmeier looks absolutely unbelievable. Whit Weeks, come on. And you could just see his motor don't stop running, man. That guy, Jonathan, you know how hard it is to get 18 tackles in one football game?
And not play special teams? Yeah, almost impossible.
I mean, it's incredible. He's co-defensive player of the week. He deserves it. Braden Swinson, defensive lineman, he's gone to the National Football League. He's going to be the biggest edge rusher LSU's had in quite a while, maybe since Arden Key. That guy is the defensive line player of the week for the 3rd time this year. That guy is incredible. He coming across, Jonathan, that guy comes, he's got such a great speed. When he comes across, he beats the offensive lineman that tackled every single time, whether he lines up on the right side or the left side. Braden Swinson is just incredible, man.
Yeah, not only is he beating his assignment, he's beating him so often that when he gets to the quarterback now, he's looking to strip that ball out. It's not good enough just to get a sack anymore. Now he wants to separate the quarterback from the ball. He's a turnover machine. LSU has absolutely needed his production on the outside. Of course, with the injuries they've dealt with and all the ups and downs in the secondary, pressure on the quarterback is absolutely vital. And I can't speak highly enough about Coach Blake Baker and what he did to dial up these exotic looks, get Major Burns in off the edge, get him to the quarterback. Greg Penn had a sack. But Whit Weeks is the story. The way he stepped up and filled in for Harold Perkins. LSU didn't know what they were going to do when they lost a talent like Harold Perkins. Number 40 has emerged as a national name. Whit Weeks is an absolute stud on the field. He goes sideline to sideline. He has the size to cover tight ends, but the speed is what stands out. The guy is a short tackler, and he's got great size. LSU has a real stud at number 40.
And, Jonathan, what's impressing me is that LSU is almost in, 6 games. I think it's 4 out of 6. They've not let opponents score in the second half. I know that, let's see. USC did, obviously. They scored 17 points in the second half. We had South Alabama. South Alabama didn't score in the second half. Nicholls State scored in the second half, a touchdown right in the 3rd quarter. But, Jonathan, they're shutting teams out of the end zone, including this high-powered Ole Miss team. They shut them out in the second half as far as getting into the end zone.
Yeah, and that's really impressive considering all the ways that Ole Miss can really hurt you on the football field, and they have stars all over the place. Yes, Ole Miss did get their star wide receiver banged up. He was kind of injured going into the game, and Trey Harris dropped a touchdown pass early, but we saw him make an incredible catch over Major Burns and then go to the sideline, try to dunk a basketball because Shaq was there, and injures his ankle coming down. So, yeah, Lane Kiffin has got to be furious his team didn't get the job done in Tiger Stadium, but shouldn't be shocked because he just cannot win Saturday night in Death Valley.
And not only that, it's as I said, he can't win the big games. We said that Tennessee was the biggest game he's had. It's his 5th season now. His 5th season. That's when he got all the money to pay for all those defensive players. This is when he's supposed to be winning going to the playoffs and winning a national championship. Now, their season is not over. Jonathan, correct me. I mean, this is me talking. I honestly think you're not just going to get 1 or 2 two-loss teams in the playoffs. I think you could get 3, 4, or even maybe 5. I think it's going to be more 2 teams. Because look at it. Georgia's already got 1 loss. Alabama's got 1 loss. Georgia and Alabama could both get their second losses this week. Georgia going to Texas and Alabama going to Tennessee.
Yep.
And so you could get some more 2-loss teams here that get into the playoffs that you never thought of because it's a 12-team playoff. So I think there could be more than 1 or 2 two-loss teams in the playoffs. What say you?
Yeah, I agree, especially if the college football season continues on as it has gone so far with so much parity. It truly feels like any Saturday that any team could be beat. You look at Ohio State and Oregon from this past weekend. I never thought that Oregon was able to smash the ball down Ohio State's throat like they did at the end. And, Georgia is going to have their hands full with Texas, who proved again, going against Oklahoma this past weekend, that they are the tops of the league. They are undefeated for a reason, the deepest team in college football. But are they unbeatable? No, I don't think so. I think Georgia could go and get a victory in that game. Kirby Smart, a great head coach. That team is uber talented, great quarterback in Beck. So they do have a shot to beat Texas. But if Georgia doesn't knock off the Longhorns, they're going undefeated. And if the Longhorns do go undefeated, it's going to be harder to get more 2-loss teams, especially out of the SEC. But with all the parity across the board, not only SEC but all conferences in college football, wouldn't be shocked to see 3 2-loss teams in a 12-team playoff.
Exactly. All right, LSU 8th in both the polls. That's great to see. Now we move on to Arkansas, and this is going to be interesting because I can tell you this: the way I'm watching LSU and the way they're playing, inconsistent through 4 quarters. I think they played consistent in the South Alabama game, to say the least. But in the other games, the big games in this game, they didn't have a good first half. Not a bad first half, but not a great first half. To me, you got to get consistency to say you're going to win the rest of the games. If you get consistency all 4 quarters, you're going to start winning games. You could win a championship. You could go to the deep run of the playoffs. But right now, LSU has to get more consistent on all 4 sides. And I'm going to tell you, this Arkansas football team is loaded. I mean, as far as stat-wise go, they're better than we thought they would be. Let's see what Brian Kelly said about playing the Arkansas Razorbacks at his press conference this week.
So we have to keep it in perspective. And the perspective is now we've got to go on the road consecutive weeks against a very solid Arkansas team, a team that, as you know, historically over the past 4 years, we played games where it's been decided by 3 points or less. So I have a great deal of respect for Sam Pittman, what he's done, the way this team is playing. Great victory last week against Tennessee. They had the week off, obviously, the week before. Again, an annual battle for the boot. And again, this football team, is led by Talon Green, the quarterback, big, physical, can run, makes plays with his arm and legs. Again, I think the balance on offense, 480 yards in total offense, rushing, passing. They lead the SEC in third down conversions. This is a formidable offense. Love the tight end, Lucas, the big offensive line. They work well together, and again, that's Coach Pittman's specialty is the offensive line. Defensively, I think to me, I think they've done a great job defensively. They're physical up front, big and physical. Landon Jackson, I think many of you know him, played here at LSU. Great motor. I mean, the guy just plays hard. He's a 3-year starter there. He is kind of the energy on that defense. But again, a really well-designed, fundamentally sound They run to the football, play with a lot of energy. This is going to be a great challenge for us, and one where, we'll have to play well on the road at Fayetteville.
All right, Arkansas has won 8 games in 23 seasons against LSU. That's not a lot, but that doesn't mean a hill of beans about this game right here. The last 3 games have been decided by 9 total points. 2 years ago, Arkansas beat us here at LSU, or 3 years ago, I should say. 2 years ago, Harold Perkins won the game at Arkansas. Remember that? And then last year was a shootout. LSU wins the shootout again by 3 points. So the last 3 games, each by 3 points, big time. But the difference of this game is, Jonathan, that for the first time, I think, ever, that LSU, and in fact, I know this since Arkansas has gotten the lead. Remember, LSU-Arkansas was the last game of the season? LSU has never, I don't think, ever been to Arkansas in October. They always go in November when we have to, basically there's ice everywhere. So that could be a key right there. It's not going to be a cold, cold game in Fayetteville, Arkansas this week, Jonathan.
I like that, Chris. Hadn't even thought about that. You're exactly right. Usually LSU and Arkansas is later on in the year, about November, sometime mid-November. But catching them in October, who knows? I mean, LSU playing good defense right now, and you heard Coach Brian Kelly talk about the quarterback from Arkansas. And Sam Pittman must recruit a certain type of quarterback, a big body, very physical quarterback. And this guy Green is not short of strength. He can throw the ball. He can run it. He likes to lower his shoulder and create contact. So got to start fast on defense. Can't fall behind too far in the scoreboard because LSU does not want to become one-dimensional. Got banged up a little bit in the wide receiver room. So Trey Green likely to shift out as a tight end, a true freshman tight end, going to play some wide receiver against Arkansas. He is a matchup nightmare, but LSU does not want to get down early in Fayetteville. The crowd's been great for the Razorbacks. They're better, like you said, they're better this year than they thought they were going to be originally. And there's no cupcake teams in the SEC, so it's going to be physical. It's going to be one in the trenches, and LSU has to bring their hard hats right from the beginning of the game.
Well, unfortunately, I think it's going to be another lopsided. I think you're going to see another 51 attempts by Garrett Nussmeier. You know why I say that? Arkansas is 9th in total defense, 11th versus the pass, 5th against the rush.
Yep.
So I think Nussmeier better have his arm ready, better not be sore, because I think he's going to be passing 51 times in this game. They are not good defense against the pass. They are very good defense against the rush. So that's what I think is going to be happening. And their offense, he's absolutely right. Arkansas is 4th in total offense, average 484.3 yards per ball game. They're 5th in total passing, 285.3 yards per game. But this is where I get Talon Green could be the problem right here. Talon Green has thrown 5 touchdowns, just 5. In 6 games, he's thrown 5 touchdowns. Jonathan, he's thrown 5 interceptions as well.
Yep.
5 touchdowns is not a lot of touchdowns.
Right.
So he's rushed for 326. He's second in this team in rushing. He has 4 touchdowns in rushing. He is big. I think Weeks is going to have to. That's going to be Weeks' assignment. Is going to be Green. I think.
Yeah, and you brought up Harold Perkins, and 3 years ago he kind of erupted on the scene by how much disruption he caused as that spy. And if that pays off, if that game plan transforms to this squad for the Razorbacks, Whit Weeks could have another monster game. The guy has all the talent in the world, and he's going to have his opportunities to shine come Saturday.
No question about that. So big game. It's a 6 p.m. game. Could be 6:05. Could be 6:10. Something like that. Could be one of those games where it goes about 10, 15 minutes later than it is. But it's a night game. That's another thing, too, we haven't seen. Usually it's when LSU Arkansas always plays, it's a day game. It starts in the day. This will start all night. And obviously Arkansas is going to be big. Now I'll say this again. Gordy and him said this yesterday on their show, getting ready for the press conference. And Chris Blair said this, the one that brought it up, that if Arkansas beats LSU, that's their second top 10 team they beat in a row, they're going to say, hey, what about us in the top 25? We need to be in the top 25 now, and I think they will be. If they beat 2 top 10 teams in a row, they'll be in the top 25. All right. Scott Ravelli is a guy that I love reading his articles. He's a great columnist for The Advocate. He's a very nice guy, too. If you've never met Scott Ravelli, he's such a nice dude. He asked this question of Brian Kelly yesterday at the press conference, and hear what Brian Kelly had to say.
So we have to keep it in perspective. And the perspective is now we've got to go on the road consecutive weeks against a very solid Arkansas team, a team that, as you know, historically over the past 4 years we played games where we decided by 3 points or less. So I have a great deal of respect for Sam Pittman, what he's done, the way this team is playing.
All right, that was the wrong one, and that was my bad. I should have called for it. LSU rushing the field. I want to talk about that. And Scott Robeley asked this question in the press conference yesterday. It's my bad, Jonathan. No. And this, you see them rushing the field right there, and I might have gotten that wrong. I think I'm the one that messed that up. You see right there, they're rushing the field right there. And Brian Kelly was asked that. He said he felt uncomfortable about the fans rushing the field. And here it is right here.
But when they rush the field like that, is that scary at all? Or this is like your third one here.
Yeah.
You got enough state troopers and offensive linemen around you to feel.
Yeah,
feel
I mean,
okay.
it always is a result of a good thing, and so from that perspective, I guess your mindset is okay. That's good, but it's not comfortable. You're in a mass of people, and you're being, moved through a crowd of people, and you're worrying about somebody getting knocked down, and it's not something that you enjoy. Let's put it that way. You love the fact that you won the game. You love the fact that people are celebrating an incredible victory, but the implications of what has to happen next is they're rushing you off the field, and it quite frankly is unsettling.
All right, so that's what he had to say about that, and I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? I 100% agree with this. I cannot stand them rushing the field. I know it was 100 years of Tiger Stadium. I know we beat Ole Miss. It was a top-ranked team, a top 10 team. They did it. That's the third time they've done it. All right, Jonathan, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm going to tell you the way I feel about it. We're not Indiana State. We're not Iowa State, for God's sakes. We're not Mississippi State. We're LSU. We've won 3 national championships in 23 seasons since 2000. 3 national titles. We've won SEC titles. We've beaten number 1 teams. We've beaten top 10 teams before. In the 2019 national championship season, we beat 7 out of top 10 teams. 7 top 10 teams. We're not new at this. Stop rushing the field. I hate to be mad about this. I hate to be demanding about this. What's going to happen is if I'm Scott Woodward, the AD, I get on the mic before Brian Kelly gets on the mic yesterday, and I say this. Do it again, and we're going to put a NASCAR-style fence around the field. We're going to put a NASCAR fence around the field. You'll never get in again. And now you're going to say you feel out of touch because you can't see the players. You got the fence right there. I'm sorry. That has to stop. We're not freaking Iowa State. Come on. Stop rushing the field. And look, I love the students. The students make Tiger Stadium. The students make Tiger Stadium. But I'm telling you, if you keep – and it's not the money. LSU's got donors that'll pay that. Stop rushing the field. Jonathan, am I wrong on this?
I can see your point, Chris. Definitely. I mean, $250,000 for the students to rush is what LSU got charged. But this is a game in October against an Ole Miss team that was in the top 10, but they weren't number 1. They weren't undefeated. Right. This wasn't a championship. It wasn't a playoff game. This is a Saturday night game that happened to go into overtime because you stumbled almost the entire first half, had to play comeback. It was a great ending. It was a great atmosphere. I do not think the fans needed to storm the field for an October win against Ole Miss to give them their second loss of the season. We're not talking about, the Alabama rivalry where, Brian Kelly's first year, Mason Taylor's a freshman. It goes to overtime. He goes for 2. That build-up, I understand. The excitement was palpable. It was going to explode if there wasn't some release to get these kids onto the field. This was not that on Saturday. Could have absolutely gone without rushing the field. I'm not saying never do it again, but please pick your shots. This was not it.
No, I mean, you got – now Brian Kelly has to be rushed off the field. because he could be hurt. Or a player can fall down, like Caitlin Clark's situation in that basketball game. You got a player that falls down, twists an ankle, and then they're in trouble for the rest of the year. You got Lane Kiffin, for God's sakes, and I'm not a big Lane Kiffin fan. I mean, I have respect for him, but I'm not a big Lane Kiffin fan. I'm glad we didn't hire him here. But he's got to walk off the field surrounded by players. You've got other players from Ole Miss that are walking off the football field. Come on, man. They got to stop this.
And truly, Chris, I mean, Brian Kelly has a point. I mean, LSU scores that touchdown, the lights go off, and then 100,000 people rush the field. You can't even see where your bench is anymore. You have kids that have been drinking since 8 in the morning. Before that, they're rowdy in the stands. They've been screaming out curse words about your mama, your girlfriend, everything else, and now they're within 3 feet of you, and you're expected to be like, oh, this is fun, this is cool.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and not only that, but you've got, like you said, so what are we? It's dark. So what, we're going to have somebody to have a spinal column injury to where we have to stop this? I'm telling you, don't think that it won't happen eventually. Look at LSU baseball, because you won't get hit by the baseball. They got fencing all around, not fencing, but it's netting. Now you can't put that around Tiger Stadium because of the simple fact is the netting is expensive because you have to keep maintenance on it. You know, when somebody's pulling on the nets like that. But don't be shocked if eventually they put fence around Tiger Stadium if that keeps happening.
And Chris, you brought up a great point. And I've seen old images like the Hank Aaron home run, the guy's like running around with the bases trying to shake his hand. We don't see fans storm the field for baseball ever. Why do you think that is?
Pro
what
football.
did they do? Or pro football, right point.
I mean, you don't see it. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. So what is it going to take one day, Marty? What they're going to do is, okay, everybody's on the field. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tiger Stadium exits have been locked off. Everybody on the field is getting a citation.
Hey, or Chris, you release that live tiger that Jeff Landry's been talking about, and you get it real exciting in Tiger Stadium.
Jonathan, that is the line of the week, brother. You made me. That is the best line of the week right there. I love that line. You wouldn't have them happen ever again. I love that line. That is awesome. Thank you for that belly laugh. That's the best. That's the joke of the week right there, brother. All right, when we come back, it was a very tough game with Southern and Texas Southern over in Houston. We'll talk about that. I was there calling that game. We'll have that when we return right here. It's overtime. Overtime. We do that tomorrow night, don't we? Over tomorrow night, yeah. This is Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers, back here in a moment right here on Pelican Sports TV.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, welcome back, everybody, as we continue to talk sports with me, Chris Powers. Southern and LSU both win in overtime. Both did not lead the entire game. Both take the lead for the first time and only time when they win it in overtime. And I'm going to tell you this right now, folks. The Southern-Texas Southern game didn't look good from the beginning for the Jaguars. They struggled immensely. Obviously they had, again, too many turnovers in this football game. That's something that's been troubling them all year long. They had 3 fumbles, 2 lost on the ball game, and they also let's see, Texas Southern had 3, which is shocking because Southern got 2 fumbles on that one, 2 fumble recoveries, which was good, but they struggled big time in this football game. with moving the football. And that's Bowden had it again, and Bowden just was ineffective. So they bring T-Set in. He is a redshirt freshman here for Baton Rouge, a lefty. First pass he throws is a pick six. Texas Southern did not get an offensive touchdown for a while, and then another fumble by Southern University, and then Southern University ends up looking at another touchdown because of it. 14 points. The game before that, Nicholls State, they had 4 turnovers in the first half, and 3 of those by 21 points by Nicholls State. In this game, 2 turnovers in the ball game in the first half, and 14 points turn out to that, and this was a touchdown. Texas Southern scored on a reverse sweep right after that, and they score the touchdown and take the lead at that point in time. At that time, it was 10-7, and then they got up to 17-7 towards the end. But they led 10-7 at halftime, and it's not anything that Southern was doing. Southern just was not playing well at all in that ball game, big time, and they just struggled in that game immensely. So with that, Southern University had to get things going into the second half, and they did. And again, you know, a lot of people were excited about that game, and I'm with you. I love it that Southern's excited, no question about that. But the problem is, I think Southern's getting too many inconsistent deals. Southern did fumble 3 times and lost it 2. I was looking at the wrong stats. On the other side, Texas Southern fumbled 1 time and lost it 1 time. But the passing game, again, they threw another interception. So, again, 3 turnovers in this ball game by the Jaguars. That's something that's got to fix. They're also not getting a lot of turnovers. They went into that game with a -8. -8. That means that you have 11 turnovers and you have 3 takeaways. That's where you get the -8, and that's not very good at all. But we got to improve on that. We got to improve in offensive play. Offensive line still interchanging the offensive line. Bowden comes in, then all of a sudden T-Set comes in, and you just have going back and forth. You've got to get consistency there to win championships. But they're 2-0 in conference play. That's all that matters. They're 2-0. So get this, Jonathan. How crazy is this? And I know you heard the show yesterday. So we have seconds left in the ball game, right? Seconds left in the game. And no timeouts for Southern. All Texas Southern has to do is catch the football at their 2-yard line, punt the football away, and the ball lands at the 50-yard line. It's pretty much done. Southern has no timeouts remaining. We have less than 30 seconds left. It's pretty much done. The kicker got so nervous he hit the ground before he hit the ball. The ball squanders off one of the Southern players and lands at the 16-yard line. So I am never saying again that Southern's lost the game before the game is over, because I did. I said Southern's going to drop to 1-1 in conference play, and Texas Southern will go to 2-1 in conference play. I thought this game was over. Yeah. And at the 16-yard line, we get the football back and score one play, the touchdown. And that's crazy, Jonathan, how that happened. I don't know if you saw the highlights yesterday on that Coach Graves show, but that's amazing how that happened.
Yeah, and I did see Coach Graves yesterday, and he had a crowd of people around him trying to follow him. They thought he was going to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. He's got Lucky Charms all over the place. He had no business being able to pull out a game there, even make it to overtime. Of course, we'll count it as a block punt because that's how it goes down in the stat book. The punter did mess up, but completely on Southern. If they'd have lost that game, it'd have been on Southern. Texas Southern is not a good football team as the Jaguars in any phase of the football. And the 3 turnovers, the interception, the pick 6 was, as Coach T. Graves has put it, just a bad read, but that was truly a head-scratcher from T-Set, who is trying to work back from an injury. I will say this for Bowden, just like for Nussmeier, they got hot at the right time, made just enough plays. Quade Davis came away with the game-tying the reception for a touchdown. And, yeah, you got to tip your hat. You're 2-0 in the SWAC West, going against Alcorn, of course. The coach from Alcorn that really gave the Jaguars fits in Fred McNair. He's now on Coach T. Graves' staff. So hopefully there's a lot of tidbits that can help the Jaguars beat Alcorn Braves this weekend.
No questions. Homecoming, too. The rushing got better. 167 total net yards in rushing. That was big. No big individual plays. Southern hasn't had a running back to go over 100 yards in quite a while now. The big running in that ball game for the Jaguars, again, not much at all. C.J. Russell, 55 net total yards on 10 carries. That's 5.5 yards per carry. Kobe Dillon got 11 carries, 51 yards. So they're doing it by running back by committee. And I love the receivers for Southern University. I do. I've said this all season long. Kendrick Rhymes, running back, got one reception, but he made it for a 37-yarder. Cam Jefferson got 3 catches for 37 yards. Quay Davis got the big game-tying touchdown just at the end of regulation. He had 3 catches for 35 yards as well. So I like this. Again, though, for me, Southern is going to have to play more consistently to win. Now, look, Alcorn had a field goal to win the game against Grambling State this week. They won 17-15 at Grambling. They should have killed Grambling.
Yep.
The only teams that are dominating right now are in the East, in FAMU and Jackson State. Those are the 2 teams that are dominating, and they're playing next. They're playing coming up, so that's going to be a big game when they 2 play. I think Jackson State's probably a little bit better football team than FAMU, so I think Jackson State's probably going to come out of the East. Now, the West is up for grabs. It's anybody's ball game. And Southern is at home. But, Jonathan, Southern to Alcorn is what Alabama's to LSU.
Yep.
LSU, I mean, Southern has winning records against everybody, including Grambling in the Bayou Classic and the overall series. But they don't have a winning record against FAMU, and they don't have a winning record against Alcorn freaking State.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And the last 12 years, Alcorn has really owned Southern. And Coach T. Graves knows this, and he's ready to prepare his team to go in and do something that hasn't been done very often out on the bluff. And before we move on to Alcorn, though, got to tip your cap to the kicker for Southern, Joshua Griffin. Perfect on a day, and then drains the one in overtime to win the ball game. I know he had some problems earlier in the season getting kicks blocked, but he was a star for Southern this past Saturday.
And get an NFL leg. It just don't follow through with his leg, and everybody's kind of nervous when it comes down to him kicking the extra point, because if they miss the extra point, the game's over. Texas Southern wins the game, but they kick the extra point, and then in overtime, they miss a field goal, and Southern gets to come back, and they hit their winning game field goal, and Southern wins that game to go 2-0. Alcorn State's 3-0 in conference place. It's a battle for first place. So get this, Jonathan. Houston's a big alumni base for Houston, and also is a big recruiting bed for Houston, right? Yep. Southern hasn't lost in Houston, in the Houston area, since 2014.
Man.
They've won 7 straight games in the city of Houston. The last loss, 2014 against Alcorn State in the SWAC championship game. That's crazy.
Yep.
That is absolutely crazy. So I expect a big game this weekend. It's a battle for the West. Southern wins this game to go 3-0 on the season, while Alcorn drops to 3-1. So if Southern wins this game, they take an early step up. But Jonathan, like we just said about LSU, we're now finished the first half of the season. We've played 6 games. We've got 6 games left now. So now it's the second half of the season. We still got 6 games to go. Southern's, after we get finished with this Alcorn game, we got to go to Tallahassee to take on FAMU, which we're never usually traditionally good there.
Yeah.
And then we got to go to Huntsville, Alabama, and play Alabama A&M. And then that's what we have to do for the next few games. So we'll go away, just like LSU goes away for 2 games straight. Then they come back. The next home game is going to be against Alabama after another bye week. Well, Southern is the same way, except not the bye week. Southern plays this game, and then they go on the road to play against FAMU and against Alabama A&M, and then they come back to play the UAPBs and the Bethune-Cookmans before getting ready for the Bayou Classic. So, again, we still got a lot of football to go. Still a lot of football to go in this. I think, like I said, if Southern can get that consistency going, I think Southern University could be a good team. And, look, they could win the West, because the West is right now, the SEC East of those days when Alabama and LSU dominated in the SEC West. Well, now it's the SWAC East for right now for the SWAC. The 2 best teams are in the SWAC East, and then FAMU and, again, Jackson State. So it ought to be interesting to see how it happens. They've got to get better in quarterback play. They've got to get better in offensive line play. It's homecoming. So the SWAC standings show us that way. And hopefully that Southern University can pull out a victory over at A.W. Mumford Stadium. Game time is at 6 p.m. They used to have, Graves told me they used to have homecomings at 6 p.m. in the early 90s when they first played, when he was assistant coach with Coach Pete Richardson. So he's used to that 6 o'clock game. It hadn't been a 6 o'clock game, though, for a long, long time. So it'll finally be a 6 o'clock game. And get there early. If you're a Southern fan, get there early, because it's 2 ways to get in the stadium. So, Marty, I'm telling you all of this, and you know this. You've been to homecoming games. You better get there early, because it's hard to get in there. 2 ways to get in, Swan Street and Harding over the hump, and it's tough to get in that place. There'll be 1 million people on campus, It's a fun environment, no question about that. By the way, Southern Soccer will play on Friday against Grambling State. So if you're getting in town early, go to that game at A.W. Mumford Stadium. That'll be a fun game. That'll be a blast to see that. All right, when we come back, the New Orleans Saints. Jonathan's New Orleans Saints said they were going to the Super Bowl. I did too, after 2 games. Now, how does a team look this bad that looks so good for the first 2 weeks? We'll tell you about that next when we come back. We're talking sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And the Saints, come on. I think they're done. They're losing too many division games, too many conference games. And let's take a look at the Saints highlights right here. The Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played in the Superdome this past week, and just not pretty at all for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints getting ready for the Denver Broncos this week. They have 17 players on the injured list. 17 players. They couldn't stop anybody. Look at this. They could not hit anybody. That's a stop right there out of bounds, and that's a penalty right there because it's and he pushed him out of bounds. That was a dumb play.
Yeah, bonehead play right there by Jonathan Abram, and you mentioned it. The Saints could not tackle. Chris Godwin started the trend early. That's a nice touchdown pass right there. Right. Hey, Chris, and outside of those 2 deflections that went for interceptions, this game could have been a whole lot worse starting in the first half, but the Saints were not matching the physicality of the Bucs, who always play the Saints tough, and really they whooped them up and down the field.
No question about that. And then, Rattler looked okay, but this is, I just – again, everybody still wants to blame it on Carr, but it's not Carr. Rattler didn't look bad. He was up and down. He had some goofy plays. This is look at this sweep right here on the end around, and there's just no tackling. No tackling involved right there. It's absolutely crazy. The Saints going to lose it 51-27 final score. Jonathan, again, why I think that it's too many. The reason they look totally different. Look how many missed tackles they have there.
Yep.
They have 17 players on the injured list for this week's game against Denver.
Yep.
17. And the NFL talks about we're for player safety. Go sell that down the street. Jonathan, the Saints have 3 games in 10 days.
Yep.
How in the hell can you get your body ready 3 games in 10 days? No way possible that can happen.
Nah, and truly the Saints, put themselves in a hole by not having a very deep roster, and then we start losing, your main guys, your starters. You look at the starting 11 from the week 1. The only people that remain on that list are Trevor Penning and Talisi Fuaga. Everyone else is the backup right now, including Derek Carr. I thought at the beginning of the game, those scripted plays the Saints like to run right off the jump. I thought Spencer Rattler looked really good. He was 7 for 9, had 2 drops by receiver, including one Bub Means that went straight through his hands. Outside of that, the second half, especially the third quarter, when Foles started dialing up those blitzes and started hitting Rattler, he did not know what to do. They were trying to call plays that were just 2-man reads. He couldn't find a man. Offensive line did not help him, but right there, your clock's got to be working a little better than that. Get it to your dump off in time. That was a good play. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough down the field to Alvin Kamara, who was really bottled up all game.
Yeah, no question about it. And that's the way Alvin Kamara is.
Yep.
Again, I don't know why they keep using him as a bruising back. He's not a bruising back. I don't understand why teams keep doing that. Sean Payton did that. Dennis Allen's continuing to do that. He's not a bruising back. He's a finesse runner. He gets there on the line and wants to find the lane that's open. Then he hits it. But you can't do that because you give the defense a chance to come out. That's why you don't see a lot of RPOs in pro football, and you also don't see a lot of options. And you don't see option anything in the NFL. You just don't see it because the players are too fast in the NFL on that level defense. So it's just too bad. But you can cut the film there because it's not worth watching. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Again, I'm going to watch the game, Denver and the Saints, only because I want to see how they react to Sean Payton. I know they're going to boo him. I understand that. It's going to be a national televised game. And Drew Brees is going to be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. And if I'm the Saints, excuse me, not the NFL Hall of Fame, the Saints Hall of Fame.
Yep. If
I'm the Saints, I retire his jersey that night. I make it a surprise where they don't know it. I would retire his jersey that night. I knew the Saints were going to do this because it's their only primetime game in the Dome this year was on that Thursday Night Football. So we're going to take a break, come back. We're going to tell you what I was right and where I was wrong and give you my hot five for this week. That's next right here. Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's time now for where I was right and where I was wrong. Let's take a look at it. Ole Miss, LSU. I said, again, I thought maybe Ole Miss could win by 7. Jonathan, you had LSU. I said I hope I'm wrong on this, and LSU did win by 6, so I was wrong there. How about Texas and Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry? I told you that Oklahoma won 5 of the last 6 games there. Well, they won by 31 points. I said they would win by 7. I was right. Ohio State won by I said would win by 3 points. They lost by 1 point in Oregon. I was wrong. And where I was right, Penn State wins by 3 points in overtime over USC. I was right there. And then the Bucks, I'd say, would win by 7 or more over the New Orleans Saints. They won by 24. All right, time now to give you my hot 5 picks for this week. I got LSU by 3 over Arkansas. Could be a tight game, though. I got LSU winning that game. I got Texas winning by 3 because they're at home against Georgia, even though Georgia, they've never seen that defense. Texas is going to see the toughest offense they've seen all season long. I got Alabama playing at Tennessee. I had Tennessee winning again, second time in a row, State. I got Tennessee by 3. I got Louisville +1 over Miami. That's going to be tough right there. That will be tough. And I've got Florida beating Kentucky by 3 points. That'll do it for this week's Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers. We'll be back again next week right here on this channel. Until then, saying so long, everybody. Have a great week, everyone.
Rocks and fires. Tommy White with it. Johnson heads to the block.